Welcome to Tea and Stuff. I am back live in action with people not over Zoom, which is so phenomenal. So a lot of this past couple of weeks have been crazy. It's leading up to the holidays, so sometimes that brings out some stressors for people. So I figured I'll get two people that I have in my life that are from two separate ends of the kind of mental therapeutic world, and I figured we could all sit down and just sort of talk about it. So Renee comes from a background that's more therapeutic, a little bit more Western friendly approach. Chris comes from a very spiritual, the universe, the size of the universe is how many possibilities can be there. So, I mean, we're here in Renee's beautiful studio that's in Camillus, New York. Go ahead and introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what you do.
Oh, okay. So I am grateful to be here. I'm Renee Goots, and I am the sole practitioner at Syracuse Therapeutic Yoga. And I keep thinking about going into how we met, which was at an outdoor festival when you were selling tea, and it was delicious, and we immediately started talking about doing a workshop together, and we did, and it was wonderful. And so yeah, I'm a yoga therapist here, and I do small group classes and work one-on-one with people, and try to make things accessible physically, and also just to kind of take the stigma off meditation and yoga, that you have to look a certain way or be a certain way to practice it. And that was just, it kind of came to be because it was needed. So I started to evolve my business and the work that I do in that realm.
Yeah, and that's sort of like, that was kind of the great point of bringing both you guys in, is that you come from two separate ends of things, but it's not like, you have your stance and you have your stance, and then like you're right and you're wrong, and that's the really wonderful thing about this, is that it really does kind of become pretty worldly. And I mean, being in upstate New York, a certain amount of westernization for certain things really truly is necessary. It's not like a bastardization of the practice. Like, it really, there are some people in this culture that are very they get very nervous by things that aren't familiar. So sometimes they do need things that are broken down in a different way.
It's an eloquent way to say that. I do have to sometimes put my spiritual universe being, because I am more on the other side of that. And it's very powerful in my being. But I had a woman come to me a couple weeks ago who the first thing she said to me was, "Now, I'm very Catholic. Am I allowed to be here?" And I, of course, told her, yes, of course, this is not a religion, and it's a practice, and it's all what you need. It's what you get.
And then, so what is your kind of background with breath work, meditation?
Wow. Most of the things I do has worked for me. I started out with food as medicine. I've had quite a healing journey. I've sat in many plant medicine ceremonies. I've also assisted in a few. I've studied different modalities of breath work and breath itself. I take different philosophies and science and kind of mix it together. I know Renee does a lot of that as well. My main focus is really herbs and plant medicine, ultimately, and much more closer to the indigenous way, and that's just indigenous all across the board, no matter where it's from. And so I study a lot of the medicine wheel stuff, like the emotional body, the spiritual body, the physical body, and the mental body, and just kind of find harmony between all of them.
I don't think anybody thinks that their one way is perfect and anything like that. But I'd have to say that honestly, out of the people that I know, when I was thinking about doing this, this specific podcast, it was seriously it was kind of a no-brainer, because you're the two of if I'm thinking about oh, I'm having a lot of added anxiety and I feel like I need to reach out to someone for advice, like you're two of easily the people that I would reach out to the most. I think you've both in separate ways helped counsel me, if you want to put it that way, spiritually. Both of you have. And you brought up a good point with the religion, and that comes into tea, bringing it all back around to tea as well.
Yes.
But a lot of people, like when you talk about like the chad or the Shakti, like the tea's energy and stuff like that, sometimes people, I want to single out Catholics, but people that are very set in their religion, they can sometimes see that as being something that's possibly invasive. And it's always interesting to talk with those people, and just it's always just, this isn't a religion. Like it can be your whole life, but it's not it's not meant to replace a religion. And a lot of people, the same thing with Buddhism. Like a lot of people assume that Buddhism is a religion, and I mean, it can be, but the core Buddhist beliefs are held in.
It's a way of life.
Yeah, and the core beliefs are the same core beliefs that are in Christianity and all that stuff. So
yeah, Chris and I were talking about that earlier, that we're all really, we're just humans and trying to have a beautiful human experience.
Even as a kid, like when you start learning about like wars and like, you know, bad things throughout history, you see that a lot of the fighting's over religion. And as a kid, like, you understand that they have their beliefs, and they're upset by each other's. But it's like the whole like going to war and like needing so bad to be right that someone else has to be wrong. Like that was like, I grew up Catholic, and a lot of the beliefs, like I was there for. Like a lot of the like Jesus teachings, like made total sense to me. Like respect people, like, you know, be a good person. But as soon as like sometimes but this is the religion, this is the only way. So it's like, it's not only, I don't only have to believe it, but I also have to now denounce like the possibility of anything else being in existence. And as a kid, I've always just found it odd that it got like that line was drawn. Like I always felt it was just so sharp.
I feel as though no matter what the belief system, these are different methods or modalities as part of your own toolkit you can use within yourself to enhance your spirit, your belief in spirit, however that resonates with you. We're also like snowflakes and spider webs. We're all different and unique in our own way, and that's what makes us beautiful collectively.
That's a really, really good way to put it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so I mean, that's something that I wanted to ask, because it's something that I know a lot of people ask me. It's something I am always looking for more guidance on, is I guess from each of you, is if you guys are starting to feel like a lot of anxiety, if you feel like a lot of stuff's building up, which we all obviously do, what is your go-to? Like, how do you tackle that? What are your biggest suggestions for somebody who's having those kinds of...
You're looking at me, so I'm going first.
Yeah. I figure we'd start...
I didn't want to step on your toes.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, I got into this line of work. I was doing mental health counseling, and I am a human, and so I have anxiety and depression, and you know, just that struggle. And I've kind of probably, it's been prevalent even when I was a little kid. I would feel anxiety, and I didn't understand it, right? So I think my go-to is now from learning the practice of yoga, which I think in meditation. Truly, the biggest thing is to stop holding your breath and to take a deep breath, which I often will call a falling out breath or a cleansing breath. And because we walk around tense and holding, and I was doing it all the time. And then I just learned how to take a deep breath, and it gives you a second to think and be.
I literally had that. I noticed that earlier today. Just in preparation for this, I was having a bunch of anxiety, and I realized that I was just holding my breath. So I was like, I was trying not to hold my breath, but every so often I'd realize that I was holding it again. So I would have to just sort of.
And it's going to happen. So that's the holding is what reminds you to breathe. So it helps each other. They balance out.
That's beautiful.
And then what are your go-tos?
Breath is definitely incredibly important. I practice stepping back from myself and telling myself things don't happen to me, they happen for me. And I eventually think of the things I'm grateful for, and I start to laugh and see the lessons presented in front of me and not take myself so serious, because I feel it's kind of a crime against existence being here to be so serious with yourself. It's a bit unnatural.
Yeah, those are very, very, that's something I'm very terrible with. I'm very, very, very hard on myself. Like, I just released my latest podcast, and I was talking with my guest after I released the video today, and I was just sort of, thanking him again, and then also just like apologizing for some awkwardness just because I was nervous and stuff. And he was just like, he didn't seem nervous. And I was like, I really felt like I seemed nervous. And he's like, you didn't seem nervous. And I was like, oh, okay, I appreciate it. But, I really felt nervous. And he's like, dude, just be you. Like, you're good. And you get so much, especially when you're doing like production and stuff like this, you want so much for everything to be perfect but I think you have to, like everything in life, you have to accept that things aren't meant to be perfect. Like, it's such a weird thing to strive for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Like, I think this is something I've been a rhetoric or something I've been saying to people a lot since the pandemic, or a realization I've had is that, like, I feel like the perception of happiness is just super wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, happy isn't like waking up with an ear-to-ear smile and like dancing your way to the sink to brush your teeth. Like, I just feel like that's such a weird thing. Like, I feel like there's, in some way, someone's got to help kind of normalize what happy is.
Yeah, moments of joy, right? Cultivating moments of joy. A friend of my husband's and mine gave us the ultimate gift, I think, over the summer. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a button, and you just it's this little button, and you press it. It's kind of like the Staples button.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a 30-second dance party.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I did buy a case of them because I think it's the best gift to give. You might be getting one.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
You press it, and it's like, no matter what's happening, it's kind of like the breath, right? Or what Chris was saying, like being, just laughing, because like no matter what's happening, you press it and it's 30 seconds. And the rule in our house is that you have to dance for those 30 seconds, even if it's just moving your hands. And it takes you out of the struggle.
I feel like you and Andrea do a lot of that stuff.
We do a lot of closet dancing and singing.
Well, just like I feel like they're very good. They're two people that I think in my life celebrate life the loudest. Like, in the most purest way. Like, I just feel like they're two people that are just have their own trials, but like overall, I mean,
oh, thank you.
You guys have a lot of fun with each other, and it's good to see that. Like, it's nice to see such genuine people. Like, a lot of people, like, when you're younger, you want to fit in. Like, you want to be like this person, you want to be like this person, but the thing we all usually end up learning is that if you just kind of end up just being yourself, that's usually the winning choice.
What Renee said about the dancing, it's kind of like we're holding it. Why are we holding so much back?
Yeah, there's I don't know what its Sanskrit name is, or if it's even part of the Sanskrit yoga. I might have actually taken it from Qigong, but we do these things where they're called standing spinal twists, and it really just looks like what you see little kids doing, just like moving back and forth with your hands and legs. And whenever I teach it, I often say, do you remember doing things like this when you were a kid? And then when does that shift happen where we can't move our bodies freely? But I've also had students decide to name them things like twirly birds and stuff like that, which I encourage. I love it because it doesn't matter what name it is, but it's just really freeing to move your body in that way.
Something that I do it's more just a thing I did when I was a kid was I still do it today. Sometimes I'll pretend like I'm walking on the ceiling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll put my feet up above myself and I'll just sort of move my feet around like I'm walking on the ceiling. And I just sort of like, sometimes I'll just like revel in that, just sort of like you're being dumb. You're like kind of like you're wasting time. But it's like sometimes I think it's super beneficial to waste a little bit of your time.
I think doing things for yourself is the real work. Like we look at all these outside forces as work, but we forget that we have to do work for ourselves, and we owe it to ourselves.
How much work would you say each of you do? Like, how much do you work on yourself in a given day, or how much do you try?
Well, I could never give you a straight answer. I can tell you when I'm not doing it. It for sure shows up. But over the past probably like 2 years, I was having trouble kind of accessing my tools that for self-care, and I know that's like a trendy kind of term, but I couldn't access them. My life was a little chaotic, and I'm finally getting back to that space where I'm doing it more regularly. So I want to say, I don't know, at least like 3 to 4 hours a day. But you got to get that guilt out of your head too. Like the guilt monster is there saying like, no, this isn't what you should be doing. But it's getting easier.
Yeah, I'm so guilty of that. Like, I think you are too.
I do.
We're all very creative, very active people that like to, not just do your thing, but be involved in other stuff too. But yeah, every now and then you have to you have to remember to stop and just sort of take a breath. Unfortunately, I usually don't realize it until I'm starting to feel like the anxiety flutters, and I'm like, oh shoot, I need to breathe. Like, I wish that every day is like I don't ever claim to be perfect. I don't think every day I try 110%, but it's like as long as I'm like putting an effort in each day to do something just a little bit better, like I feel like at the end of the day, if I look in the mirror and I can like kind of just say that to myself, I feel like it's a win of a day. And if I really was like, I'm really not super proud of today, then all right, then that's the lesson, I guess, for the next day.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the things I often will share with people, which comes from a book called The 4 Agreements, but it's that every day your best is different. So you might be struggling with something each day, so your best is going to be on a different plane. And so depending on how you feel or what's happened that day, and I like that. I use that as a mantra a lot of, oh, right, well, my best shifted. So like acceptance of the fact that we're humans.
That was a really good book.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
What book?
The 4 Agreements. Is it by Thich Nhat Hanh?
No, I haven't. I can't think of his name.
It's okay.
I've seen him speak.
When I'm editing this, we'll get a link.
Yeah,
that's become very popular. Like, obviously, when I've been doing these podcasts, like every now and then a book will get referenced or some or an article, and I always got to remember to like bookmark it because it's when people hear that, especially when it's like it's about something like that, like it's something everybody could benefit from, and if
it's a great book. It's really easy to read.
Would you consider it a self-help book? Or just
sure.
more of a...
Yeah, like...
Not in a bad
philosophy-wise.
No.
It just helps your... It has certain practices in it that help you... It has good practices in it.
Yeah. And they're simple. And it's just... I've gone back to that book many times at different stages of my life to remind myself. Very simple. It's like beginner's mind of just like reminding yourself.
It's very Zen.
What's really important.
Zen Buddhism.
Apparently, this is a book that I need to grab then.
I probably have a copy you can borrow.
Actually, on that note, we're gonna do a tea break.
Cool.
So we're gonna take a quick little break. We'll be right back with some tea, and Renee will lead us with some breath work. So we'll be right back.
Super excited.
So we're back. I've brewed up some of our Tong Tien Zhang. Renee has done this as a part of her practice, and she's done not only tea and meditation, but she's done food with meditation, and she really opened up my eyes to the fact that really anything that your senses are interested in can be used as a tool to help you get used to, or to get an intro into meditation. So I have had the luxury of being able to sit through this once before, But I'm going to have Renee lead us through this again.
Thanks, Chad. So, to start, I'll invite you to let your eyes close. You can either have your hands rest on your legs with your palms up or your palms down, whatever feels right to you. And let's take a nice deep breath in. And as we breathe in, invite abundance. And as we breathe out, offer gratitude, as we are grateful for the sweet moment to pause and breathe deeply. We are grateful for this time and the tea that's been prepared. And we will be grateful for the space to treat ourselves to a warm, nourishing drink. And I offer gratitude to Jeff, who prepared the tea and got it ready for us, and to Chris, who's here sharing the experience with us. We are grateful for this day and all the possibilities of being alive. So from here, simply begin to smell and see if you can smell the aroma of the tea around you. If you need to open your eyes, feel free to do that. But just begin to be present with your tea. You might even want to hold or touch the mug and feel the warmth. Maybe bring your nose close to the steaming water and sniff the scents. And as you breathe in abundance. And as you breathe out, you offer gratitude. And notice what scents you notice, what smells might come to mind. Perhaps they remind you of something. Notice if the scent takes you anywhere, maybe emotionally. And almost notice how you feel in your body as you drink in these scents through your nose. Do you notice that your tongue and mouth are getting prepared to taste the tea? As you breathe in, imagine warmth and nourishment being drawn in. And as you breathe out, imagine sending out that warmth and nourishment to the world. When you're ready, invite yourself to sip the tea. You might even set your mug down for a few moments, every few sips, and close your eyes and consider what you notice. As we breathe in, we invite abundance. And as we breathe out, we offer gratitude. Feel free to keep sipping your tea. And notice what flavors are on your tongue. Perhaps they remind you of something. How does it feel as the warm water moves through your throat or travels down into your body? As we drink our tea, we are practicing self-compassion and self-care by being in the present moment. And as we fill our cups, we are nourished with warmth and love and community. Before you finish your tea, set an intention for the next part of your day or week. And notice that intention being firmly planted within you as you take your last sips. Honor yourself for taking this time to nurture your body and mind and call in the intention that you set. Continue to breathe and invite abundance in. And as you breathe out, offer gratitude. As we move forward in our days, we call in compassion, kindness, peace, and love. And as we step into the rest of our lives, we call in clarity. And we invoke our best intentions and allow them to guide us. As we breathe in abundance. And as we breathe out, we offer gratitude. You can always follow these steps slower or do them over a few times. And then when it feels complete for you, you can move forward with the rest of your day.
Thank you again for that.
Thank
That
you.
was really, really nice. Hopefully for people, that either have a hard time finding things like that to listen to or just really enjoy it. That's the nice thing is you could just, if you want to play that little segment over and over, that was just about like 5 minutes or so. 5 minutes is a pretty easy thing to take out of your day. And I absolutely not kidding. I feel so much calmer, less tense for sure. Like in here, I feel it in my here. I just feel so much more relaxed. So if that's possible within just 5 minutes, there really is sort of no excuse.
And did you have any awarenesses? Did you notice anything different? Well, maybe you wouldn't about the tea when you were drinking it in that way, but I know you drink that way often.
I drink that way quite often, but doing it in this way helped me enjoy the flavors more so. Yeah. I appreciated them in a different way than I normally do. So we also were on a brief conversation. Chris has studied a lot of the Wim Hof method and teachings in that area. And he was bringing up some interesting stuff he was taught about palm placement when you're trying to do meditation. So could you sort of explain that a bit?
So Wim Hof, in short, is really just alkalining the body with breath to help your immune system. The palm technique I actually learned from Sadhguru. He's a very popular yogi. But I study a lot of different avenues of medicine and I guess philosophies and different practices. So you have a divine masculine parts of your body and divine feminine. So when you breathe with your palms open and up, it's up here in your heart more. And then if you do that consciously, and then when you put your palms down, it's more in your belly. And Renee was speaking about how she felt more vulnerable, which most of us do, with our palms up and open because we're more ready to receive. But sometimes we kind of put a brake on it and we're not ready to receive because we're afraid. And then when you're down, you're more ready to give, and that's the giving or that action is a bit more on the masculine end, where that receiving is more surrendering. It's more of a feminine trait.
Naturally, I want to my brain wants to just go down. But I feel like if somebody were to help me, in a guided meditation situation, help you, remind you to keep it up, I would be interested to see if that would bring different results. So that was...
Yeah. And Chris and I were talking about a way, if you did feel vulnerable, was to put some sort of weight on
over you.
So that you could kind of compensate and have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So would you just do maybe one of those heat bags that you use when
You could totally do that.
anything.
Yeah,
Or sometimes I'll put just a hat over my eyes, or I have a weighted blanket, which I really like to do sometimes.
Yeah. Also, if you have a pet at home,
Yeah,
and they're curled up, that's kind of the perfect
cat
one, right?
meditation, dog meditation.
The other crazy thing is that, like, we just did that, and that was a meditation. Like, people get so hung up on meditation being just that. You see the perfect structured figure, you know, doing Om, and everybody just sort of feels that's what meditation is, you know, or at least that's the main idea behind it and everything. But, like, I tried doing meditation like that, and I couldn't. It wasn't conducive. I wasn't getting out of it what I really wanted to get out of it. And then, just out of frustration, I just sort of stepped away from it for a while. And I prefer to take baths. Like, I really, just with a lot of chronic pain problems, I really love a hot bath. And all of a sudden, one day, it dawned on me that my hot bath every day, that's when I meditate. And I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I use the sound of the crushing water that drowns out my own thoughts and other external things that are going on. I feel that rushing water and warm water as well, so it's super comfortable. And I just, you know, you feel fresher after you bathe or all that. But, like, after realizing that's my meditation. Like, I think that's my, at least every day, bar none, I do that. Like, that's a meditation I know I get in every day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I always like to think of meditation as just mindfully waiting for the universe to catch up to your desires, because we tend to walk in circles with our minds about all the things we want. So.
That's my main worry thanking. Like, just like literally, like, and I've been really good about that. I think as I've been working on myself in the past few weeks, is I'll be sitting there and I'll realize, like, I'm literally just like a amped up dog just going rapidly in circles. And it's just like, you have to go, like, whoa, like, that's not positive. Right. It's not like, oh no, this is, I have so many things to do, I'm going to get there. It's like, no, if you're in that state, you're not going to perform well at the things you're doing. So you really do need to take a step back and just, you know, realize, and sort of like, to a certain degree, I chastise myself, sort of like, dude, you can't let yourself get that far. Like, I'm not beating on myself, but at the same time, it's like, I'm trying to make that more of a daily practice.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about that earlier this evening, just when you were setting up, about how, you know, the pandemic and having to be in our homes or in our spaces. Yes, it was terrible for some, but it also taught others to slow down and to be present and notice all these things that, you know, we as a society are often go. And I know for sure my business has picked up tremendously. I can't even keep up. And it's a good thing. But so I hope that we're coming to this new, I like to call it this, like, reboot, humanity reboot of realizing that there's so much value in slowing down and finding a practice that works for you. And that it's a way of living and not just something to do on occasion. And
that sort of was the point of this whole podcast, is that, like, you just, like, working on yourself is fine. Like, that's that in current day, like, just like sometimes we realize like in the 90s, we realized we were eating too much fast food and stuff. So they were like, oh no, here's things that you can do on a daily basis that can help, you know, move that food around. The same thing with the mental health. Like, it used to be something that was just for the typical yogi. But, like, think about current day. Could there be a more applicable time for things like that? And again, it doesn't have to interfere with your spirituality or anything like that. There's no reason that it should be. It's not religion unless it is religion to you. And there are some people like that, and bless them, and it's so wonderful that they found something. But, you know, the main idea is just to self-care.
Yeah. Well, and you've probably both heard this quote before, but it's that, because we get asked what's the difference between prayer and meditation, and prayer is when I've heard the quote is, prayer is when you're speaking to God, meditation is when God is speaking to you. And the term God can be anything. right?
Source.
Like it's whatever you look to.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that great?
Say it again.
So I think it's Deepak Chopra. I believe that's who said this. Is that prayer is when you're speaking to God, and meditation is when you allow God to speak to you.
Wow.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's profound. It's simple, but it's profound. And it's similar. The work that I do in yoga therapy sessions is very similar to what Chris was saying. Is we check in with the different layers of the body, the breath, the mind, the physical body.
Have you had any patients, right? Clients. Have you had any clients that have really had that, like, a serious struggle with the I want to get these teachings and get the benefit from it, but that they have a faith kind of element that stays in their way, or just
no. Usually if they're that nervous about it, they're probably not going to come in, unfortunately. But I think more things like this of getting the word out is better. But I mean, I've definitely had some come in and be nervous, but then once it happens, I mean, they feel like they are being, I mean, really they're just noticing their own wisdom. But whatever that wisdom is to them or where it's coming from is that's up to them. So no, I mean, I think the people who've decided to do it or to work on that, it supports them in their beliefs.
what would you say to somebody that naysays like this kind of stuff? Not like a jerk, like not somebody who's looking to start a fight, but like somebody who's just like, this is a little out there for me. Like, what would be your like calm response, or like what would be your thoughtful response to that?
I would tell them that we are all seeking the same mountain top, and we are all open to take our own path, but eventually it's all the same. And that to find what works for them, because ultimately the experience is theirs, and your experience is yours, and my experience is mine. And when we can find common ground, those moments should be cherished and celebrated.
Mm-hmm. And common ground's the name of the game right now.
Yeah.
Like that's like, even it's like, count that as something healthy you can do for yourself. It's just on a daily basis. Like, just if you're bored and you're sitting there just mulling thoughts in your brain, just look at someone and go, you look at your coworker and just go, what do me and Bill have in common? Oh, we both like this. That's kind of cool. And then the thought doesn't have to keep going on from there, but it's just, it's good to have thoughts like that. Like, that's really healthy. Those are healthy brain tangents to go on.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Empathy. Yeah. Finding ways to be empathetic towards other humans.
I think what's important for our future is think about inclusiveness, because we're all going to be different in many ways, but if we can make our box bigger so that more people feel included, or that they have some sort of equity universally among a community, they can achieve more.
I think that's a good kind of point of why you exist and why your practice exists. It's just sort of like people are the majority of people in the U.S. are in need.
Well, people everywhere are in need, right? But we are, like we said before, it's just go, go, go. Like, don't slow down. And I was that way for a really long time. It did not serve me. It did not serve me, and I needed to make a change. And so that's what I did. I didn't know that it was going to be a career, supporting other people to do that, but I'm honored to. And it's usually just starting at basics of like, how can we make this easy in our daily life,
more applicable to the Western lifestyle. Because like, I get, like, a lot of us do have jobs that require us to go from one thing to the next but I think like the point we're all trying to make is that there's still somewhere in there's a little bit of time.
Like when you have, I mean, you could do this with coffee, right? You could, I mean, there's delicious coffee out there. You could do it with anything. I do it with, eat one solo piece of chocolate and do it mindfully, and you're going to notice how rich in flavor that chocolate is and how you won't want another piece, really.
I don't know. Chris might want another piece.
Yeah,
Chris is a little bit of a chocoholic.
I don't have any here with me.
I would probably practice the Muslim style and do 5 times a day of chocolate prayer.
That's okay. That's okay.
As you're sitting there telling the chocolate thing, I was like, oh, don't say just eat one piece. I was like, oh, Chris can't.
Yeah.
Although if you do it, I swear, because listen, I want all of the chocolate too. But it's incredible when you slow it down. And it's like all of a sudden you're like, there's so much chocolate. How could I possibly want more?
I've just, in the, I don't know, maybe past like 5 years, I've started eating slower and slower. Like, and really like, kind of like I do with tea. Like, I really think about the textures and the flavors and how they're working together. And it's a nicer way to consume things than just like there's some times where the object is just to get the fuel in and go. But like, lately I've been sort of like, well, if I'm not in a rush, I take my time with it. I wanted to, I know something you do and something you kind of teach to people is to put together sort of like a toolkit. Yeah. Could you explain that a bit?
I did. I brought it. It's on the other side of the room.
No, go for it. You can get up. It's fine.
All right, I'm gonna hop and get it.
Yeah. I find that if people would practice doing little things for themselves, whether it be whatever label they put on it, meditation or prayer, but if they do more little things for themselves, the world would just be more harmonious and everybody would treat each other better because we wouldn't be worried about everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm so excited for this toolkit because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so this was, I mean, I will admit this is something that I kind of took from my counselor days. But then was like, why can't I teach people to do this? This is great for everyone. So the toolkit is essentially, sometimes I'll make them and give them as gifts to people. But it's important that you like everything that's in it. So I have like a little shoebox here, or it's a big shoebox, but you could do smaller, like a little bag or something to keep in your car or your backpack or your handbag, whatever. But so it's little things that like when you start to struggle that ultimately help you or bring you joy or just like take you away from the stress that kind of like you talked about, laughing and breathing and things like that. So some examples of things. So like you could have a notebook for journaling or drawing or writing poetry or any of those things. I have this really lovely sage spray, like the sage cleansing spray that my friend Eliza made. So that's a good one. And then like the aroma of it will take you kind of out, especially if you're having an anxiety attack, which a lot of us do. There's a candle so that you can just sit and watch the flame of the candle burn, which is another way to meditate.
Candlelight meditation.
Yeah. I sometimes have chocolate. Today I have mangoes that are in here because one of the things you might notice when you check in with your physical body is like, oh, I'm hungry. I haven't taken care of myself today. And, when your blood sugar's low, I have low blood sugar too, not in the same way as you, but I'm like ravenous and can't function. So something to eat, a little gemstone, no matter what you think or feel about gemstones or the energy of them. I mean, I'm totally into it, but it's grounding, right? Like just feeling part of the earth is grounding.
My mother she bought me the worry stone.
Yeah,
same
I was
thing.
thinking of the same
thing. I was a little kid. She gave that to me, and she's like, if you just keep it in your pocket, and it helped.
Now they do the spinners or the poppers.
Yes,
it's the same thing as a worry stone.
It's all grounding yourself. I have chapstick because that will always be my number one thing that I
if it works for you, then it goes in the box.
I have a worry journal.
Oh.
No, this is kind of like a fancy toolbox, but I'm just giving examples.
It's ideas.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
And so this is the tiny Buddha. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to the tiny Buddha, but it's
I have a couple.
Yeah,
tiny Buddhas. But
you could put a little tiny Buddha in your toolbox.
I probably would.
Yeah, why not? And so then I have some like essential oil rollers too. I do have one of my favorite regular teas. That's not.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
And like a power bar kind of thing or something. And a lot of this stuff you can get locally from a local company and all that jazz. But like, I think it's even neat to consider what you'd put in it.
Definitely.
And put in your own and what makes you feel good. And then just knowing that you have it there, because often when we're struggling, we can't access information that we need or know what to do. So you could even put a Post-it note, like call this friend or call this support, or you could write out a mantra to put in there.
Definitely, you guys that are the watchers, you guys, write in the comments, because this is nice engagement. It helps with the YouTube. If you feel like it, throw in the comments what you would throw in your box.
What would you put in your toolkit?
Oh God, definitely. Like I have one of the worry stones my mother's given me. I definitely have that. Definitely would use that. I don't know what, but something that would be aromatically connected. I don't know. What's the thing or two you'd put in?
I'd probably put my runes. And probably a little Buddha.
Yeah.
And lots of chocolate.
Yeah. I didn't have chocolate, or it would be like I gifted one over the summer, and I definitely put chocolate in there. Although my friend is like, I can't eat it, and I'm like, no, you can. You can just put more chocolate in it.
Yeah. That's a cool concept.
All right.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Thank you. I want to thank both you guys for joining me. Yeah. I really, really appreciate it. I've been trying so hard to put together some of these podcasts that aren't Zoom, and hopefully going forward with more and more and more that'll be in person. So I really appreciate you guys both being here for the first one. So
likewise, thank you.
Appreciate you guys. That was beautiful meditation.
Likewise, thank you.
So cheers, guys. To comment, subscribe, and be well. Cheers.
Aloha.